1953, a movie showed something no one had dared before: an alien invasion through a child's terrified eyes. Invaders from Mars wasn't just another sci-fi thriller. It was a nightmare painted in sickly green where parents became strangers and nobody believed you. And today, we'll reveal 20 shocking secrets about the film that turned childhood paranoia into cinematic art. Number 1. The Sand Pit that swallowed everyone. There's one image from Invaders from Mars that haunts everyone who's seen it. The sand pit, that spiraling, concentric pattern of sand behind a rickety wooden fence where townspeople walk in and never walk out the same. It's simple and absolutely terrifying. The pit wasn't just a plot device, it became the visual symbol of Cold War paranoia. Your neighbor walks behind that fence and returns as something else. Your father disappears into that spiral and comes back with dead eyes and a strange mark on his neck. The genius is in what you don't see. The pit never shows the actual abduction. You just watch people approach, watch them vanish into the spiral, and then watch them return different. Director William Cameron Menzies understood that the human imagination is far more frightening than any special effect he could afford. That sand pit, with its hypnotic pattern, became one of the most iconic images in 1950s science fiction, reproduced on posters, in comic books, and in nightmares. But the spiral wasn't just visual design, it was psychological warfare, and everything about how this film was shot was designed to weaponize childhood fear. Number 2. Filmed from a child's perspective. Every single shot in Invaders from Mars is composed from a low angle, specifically mimicking how a child sees the adult world. Camera positions are placed at approximately 4 feet off the ground, the eye level of young David McLean, the film's boy protagonist. This wasn't artistic pretension, it was calculated psychological manipulation. When you're a child, adults tower over you, doorways seem enormous, hallways stretch forever, authority figures loom. Menzies exploited this by making every adult in the film appear slightly larger, slightly more threatening, slightly more alien than they should. Watch the scenes with David's parents after they've been taken. The camera looks up at them, emphasizing their height, making them feel physically dominating and emotionally distant. The police chief, the soldiers, the doctors, everyone is shot from below, creating a subtle sense of helplessness. Modern viewers might not consciously notice the technique, but they feel it. That nagging sensation that something's wrong, that the world is too big and you're too small to fight it. Number 3. Inspired by a real childhood nightmare screenwriter. Richard Blake didn't pull this story from pulp magazines or flying saucer hysteria. He pulled it from his own recurring childhood nightmare. Blake suffered from vivid, repeating dreams where he'd watch something fall from the sky, a meteor, a star, something bright and terrible, and then his parents would go outside to investigate. When they came back, they weren't his parents anymore. They looked the same, they sounded similar, but something fundamental had changed. They were hollow, cold, strangers wearing his parents' faces. This primal fear that the people you trust most could become something else is what makes Invaders from Mars psychologically devastating. It's not about Martians. It's about betrayal. It's about discovering that safety is an illusion and that home can become hostile in an instant. Blake turned his personal terror into a screenplay, tapping into something universal. Every child has moments where they look at their parents and don't quite recognize them. Moments where mom or dad seems distant, unreachable. The film takes that fleeting childhood sensation and makes it literal, permanent, horrifying. Number 4. The Alien Leader. The Martian Supreme Intelligence, the film's ultimate villain, is one of the strangest creatures in 1950s cinema. A disembodied head and torso sealed inside a transparent sphere with thin tentacles emerging from below, all mounted on some kind of mechanical base. It looks like something from a fever dream, which was exactly the point. The creature was portrayed by actress Luce Potter, whose upper body was sealed inside a custom-built glass bubble for hours during filming. She couldn't move freely, could barely breathe, and had to coordinate her minimal movements with puppeteers operating the tentacles via hidden wires beneath the set. The effect is deeply unsettling precisely because it doesn't look like anything natural or mechanical. It exists in some nightmare space between organic and technological. Modern audiences sometimes laugh at the obvious artifice, but that's missing the point. This isn't meant to look realistic. It's meant to look alien, incomprehensible, wrong. and it succeeds brilliantly. Potter later said the experience was claustrophobic and frightening, which translated directly to her performance. Her genuine discomfort made the creatures seem more authentically otherworldly. Number 5. The mutants were actually dancers in padded suits. Those slow-moving, bulky green Martian servants, the mutants who do the Supreme Intelligence's bidding, weren't portrayed by stuntmen or special effects performers. They were professional dancers, hired specifically for their ability to move with deliberate, controlled motion. Each mutant costume was constructed from thick foam rubber over a full bodysuit, topped with a diving helmet-style head that severely limited vision. The dancers inside couldn't see much, couldn't hear well, and could barely breathe, but they could move with intention. Watch how the mutants walk. Slow, measured, synchronized. It's not clumsy monster shuffling, it's choreographed otherness. The dancers train to move in unison, creating the impression of beings controlled by a hive mind. Every gesture is economical, purposeful, inhuman. Director Menzies wanted the mutants to move like they existed in a different gravitational field, like they were underwater or in slow motion. The dancers delivered exactly that. Their training in controlled movement made the mutants seem genuinely alien rather than just guys in rubber suits. But the weirdness didn't stop with the creatures. The entire visual world of the film was designed to feel wrong. Number 6. The sets were painted green to look unreal. William Cameron Menzies made a decision that baffled the studio. He ordered everything painted in shades of green. The walls, the sand, the sky. Even the lighting was filtered through green gels to tint the entire world with a sickly, unnatural hue. This wasn't color correction gone wrong. It was intentional psychological warfare. Green is the color of nausea, of rot, of things growing where they shouldn't. It's unsettling in ways we respond to instinctively. Menzies wanted Invaders from Mars to exist in a space between reality and nightmare where everything looks almost normal but subtly wrong. The green tint achieves this perfectly. You can't quite put your finger on why the film feels so strange visually, but your brain registers the wrongness. The color palette suggests fever, infection, contamination. It makes the entire world feel poisoned, which mirrors the story's themes of invasion and corruption. Critics at the time complained that the film looked too theatrical, too artificial. They missed the point entirely. Menzies wasn't trying to create realism, he was creating a nightmare, and nightmares don't follow realistic color palettes. But the film's most disturbing element was how it ended. Number 7. The movie's ending was a looping nightmare. Here's where Invaders from Mars transcends typical 1950s sci-fi and becomes genuinely traumatic. The ending. After David saves the day, destroys the Martian invasion, and escapes with the authorities, he wakes up in his bed. It was all a dream. Relief washes over him and the audience. Just a nightmare. But then he hears a sound. He goes to the window, and he sees the exact same flying saucer crashing behind the hill exactly as the film began. The cycle is starting again. He's trapped. The final image is David's face, frozen in horror, as the screen fades to black. This ending devastated children in 1953. Parents complained, theaters received angry letters, critics called it cruel, but Menzies refused to change it. He understood that the true horror wasn't Martians, it was helplessness, repetition, the inability to escape. The ending suggests that David might be perpetually reliving this nightmare, unable to wake up, unable to break free. It's existential horror disguised as a kids' movie. Modern viewers recognize this as a precursor to everything from The Twilight Zone to Inception, the ambiguous ending that suggests reality itself might be compromised. But in 1953, this was radical and disturbing. And creating this nightmare required impressive practical solutions. Number 8. Filmed almost entirely on soundstages. Despite featuring expansive shots of fields, hills, and open sky, virtually everything in Invaders from Mars was filmed indoors on studio soundstages. Those outdoor scenes, carefully constructed sets with painted backdrops, forced perspective miniatures, and strategic lighting. The iconic sandpit, built inside a studio, filled with colored sand, and surrounded by canvas sky. The suburban streets, miniature models combined with full-scale partial sets. Menzies was an art director before he was a director, and he knew how to create the illusion of space within confined studio walls. The advantage was complete control. He could manipulate every light source, every shadow, every color. The disadvantage was claustrophobia, which actually served the film's paranoid atmosphere perfectly. The world of Invaders from Mars feels enclosed, limited, trapped, because it literally was. The soundstage shooting gave everything a slightly theatrical quality that enhances rather than detracts from the nightmare logic. It doesn't look quite real because nightmares don't look quite real, and some of the props were surprisingly resourceful. Number 9. The spaceship was made of a radar dish. That iconic Martian spacecraft, the sleek metallic saucer that crashes behind the hill, was constructed from a surplus World War II radar dish, flipped upside down and painted metallic silver. It cost the production almost nothing and looked genuinely futuristic. This wasn't the first film to use radar dishes as spacecraft. The Man from Planet X did it 2 years earlier, but Menzies' version was more polished and convincing. The dish's natural parabolic curve gave it an aerodynamic appearance that sold the illusion of advanced technology. Combined with lighting effects and miniature work, the repurposed military equipment became an icon of alien invasion cinema. It's a perfect example of low-budget ingenuity, seeing potential in available materials rather than lamenting what you can't afford. The production designers scoured military surplus stores for anything that looks sufficiently strange and technological. Radar dishes, oscilloscope screens, radio equipment, all of it was repurposed into alien technology. The result is a film that looks far more expensive than its modest budget should allow. But the military connection went deeper than just props. Number 10. The U.S. Army actually cooperated. In an era where the military actively participated in Hollywood productions for propaganda purposes, the U.S. Army provided Invaders from Mars with stock footage, props, and even technical consultation. The film's military response scenes, soldiers deploying to fight the alien threat, used real Army footage and equipment. The government saw the film as potential pro-military messaging, the armed forces protecting America from external threats, even alien ones. But something unexpected happened. After the film's release, child psychologists and parent groups complained that the movie was giving children nightmares and making them afraid of soldiers and authority figures. The Army quietly distanced itself from the production, removing references to their involvement from promotional materials. The irony is delicious. The military supported a film thinking it would make them look heroic. But the film's nightmare logic made every authority figure seem potentially compromised, potentially alien. Kids watching didn't see soldiers as saviors. They saw them as potential threats, which was exactly Menzies' point. And Menzies brought an unusual pedigree to this low-budget production. Number 11. Director Menzies was an art director legend, William Cameron. Menzies wasn't some hack director taking a paycheck on a cheap sci-fi flick. He was a 2-time Academy Award winner who had revolutionized production design in Hollywood. He won his first Oscar for The Dove in 1927 and a Special Achievement Award for Gone with the Wind in 1939, where he essentially designed the entire visual look of the film. Menzies invented the concept of the production designer, the person who creates the unified visual language of a film before shooting begins. So when he agreed to direct Invaders from Mars, he brought that same meticulous, painting-like approach to visual composition. Every frame was designed, color-coordinated, and storyboarded in advance. He treated this B-movie with the same artistic seriousness as a prestige picture. The result is a film that looks unlike anything else from its era, more expressionist, more painterly, more consciously artificial in ways that serve the story. Menzies proved that genre filmmaking could be high art if approached with vision and craft. But his vision required an insane shooting schedule. Number 12. It was filmed in just 18 days, 18 days. That's how long Menzies had to shoot an entire feature film with elaborate sets, special effects, and child actors. Modern productions spend 18 days just on rehearsals. But Menzies, drawing on his production design experience, had every single shot pre-visualized before cameras rolled. He created over 200 detailed storyboard sketches that mapped out camera angles, lighting, composition, and color schemes. This meant that when production began, there was no wasted time, no experimentation, no figuring things out on set. The crew knew exactly what to shoot and how to shoot it. Actors hit their marks, cameras captured the planned compositions, and production moved at breakneck speed. The constraint actually enhanced creativity. With no time for multiple takes, performances had a raw, immediate quality. With no budget for elaborate effects, practical solutions created memorable images. The film's rough edges became aesthetic choices. and some of those edges were very rough indeed. Number 13. The Martian tunnel walls were canvas. Those winding, organic-looking underground tunnels where David explores the alien lair, they weren't solid sets. They were painted canvas stretched over wooden frames. If an actor leaned against the walls too hard, they'd flex and ripple. The solution was careful blocking and strategic camera placement that made the flimsy material look like solid alien architecture. Menzies lit the canvas from behind in some shots, creating a translucent membrane-like quality that actually enhanced the otherworldly atmosphere. The walls seemed to glow with internal bioluminescence, suggesting living tissue rather than carved stone. What could have been a visible budget limitation became a distinctive visual element. The tunnels don't look mechanical or stone. They look organic, grown, alive, like the interior of some massive creature. This ambiguity between technology and biology was exactly what Menzies wanted. It made the Martian environment feel incomprehensible, beyond human categories, and the film's exhibition was almost as experimental as its production. Number 14. The film was shown in 3D in some theaters. Although Invaders from Mars wasn't filmed in true stereoscopic 3D, some theaters experimented with simulated depth projection effects during its run. This involved special lenses and dual projector setups that created the illusion of depth without requiring 3D glasses. The flying saucer appeared to float slightly off the screen. The sandpit seemed to recede into infinite space. The Martian tentacles appeared to reach toward the audience. The results were mixed. Some theaters abandoned the effect after technical difficulties, others kept it for the entire run. But it demonstrates how exhibitors recognized that Invaders from Mars was offering something different. Something that pushed the boundaries of conventional presentation. The film's surreal visuals lent themselves to experimental exhibition techniques, and the sound design was equally innovative. Number 15. The sound design used actual rocket audio. That eerie, pulsing hum that accompanies the Martian machines, the sound that feels like it's vibrating inside your skull, came from real rocket engine test recordings. Sound designer Cal Dalton obtained audio from actual rocket tests conducted by the U.S. military, then distorted and manipulated it through electronic oscillators to create something simultaneously mechanical and organic. The result is genuinely unsettling. It doesn't sound like movie sound effects. It sounds real, documented, alien. The low-frequency throb triggers instinctive unease because it resembles sounds humans associate with danger. Earthquakes, explosions, massive machinery. Combined with theremin tones and electronic distortion, the soundscape of Invaders from Mars remains distinctive and disturbing. Close your eyes during the Martian sequences, and you'll still feel the tension through audio alone. Modern sound designers study this. Film for its economical yet effective approach to creating atmosphere through sound. But not every country got to experience that atmosphere the same way. Number 16. The UK got a completely different ending. British censors and distributors looked at Menzies' nightmare loop ending and said absolutely not. They demanded a completely different conclusion that removed all ambiguity. In the UK version, David genuinely wakes up from the dream, his parents are truly safe, and there's no second flying saucer crash. It's a conventional happy ending that completely undermines everything the film was building toward. British audiences saw a comforting children's adventure. American audiences saw existential horror. The UK version eliminates the film's most memorable and disturbing element, turning a psychological thriller into a reassuring fantasy. Film historians consider the UK cut a travesty, but it reveals how radical and disturbing the original ending was considered. Distributors literally couldn't believe American studios would release something so potentially traumatic to young viewers. But American distributors had their own form of dishonesty. Number 17. The film's poster lied to audiences. Look at the original theatrical poster for Invaders from Mars, and you'll see a glamorous woman in a torn dress screaming in terror. Here's the problem. This scene doesn't exist anywhere in the film. The poster was designed to attract adult male audiences who might not be interested in a story centered on a child protagonist. It's classic exploitation marketing, promising sex and danger the film doesn't deliver. But this bait and switch probably helped the film's box office, luring in audiences who otherwise would have skipped it. Number 18. Menzies designed the film like a painting. Before shooting a single frame, William Cameron Menzies created over 200 detailed storyboard sketches, not just simple shot lists, but fully rendered drawings with precise color, lighting, and composition. He approached Invaders from Mars the way a painter approaches a canvas, designing each frame as an individual work of art. These weren't rough sketches. They were detailed enough that cinematographers could use them as lighting diagrams and set designers could use them as construction blueprints. Menzies essentially directed the film twice, once on paper, once on set. Modern blockbuster productions now use extensive storyboarding as standard practice. Menzies pioneered this approach on a film with almost no budget. Number 19. Steven Spielberg cited it as an influence. Steven Spielberg has repeatedly stated that Invaders from Mars was one of the most formative films of his childhood. He saw it at age 6, and the experience never left him. The suburban paranoia, the child protagonist who sees the truth while adults remain oblivious, the mixture of wonder and terror, all of these elements appear throughout Spielberg's work. E.T. is essentially an optimistic inversion of Invaders from Mars. What if the alien was friendly and the adults were still the problem? Spielberg has said that Invaders from Mars taught him that science fiction could be personal, emotional, and psychologically complex rather than just spectacle. Number 20. The first film to make a child the hero. In 1953, science fiction films centered on soldiers, scientists, or intrepid reporters, capable adults who could fight back against alien threats. Invaders from Mars broke this pattern completely by making young David McLean not just the protagonist, but the only person who sees the truth. This was a radical storytelling choice that shifted science fiction away from power fantasy toward vulnerability. David can't physically fight the Martians. He can only witness, run, and try desperately to make someone believe him. The film established a template that countless later productions would follow: the child who sees what adults cannot, the young witness to cosmic horror. From canvas tunnels to radar dish spaceships, Invaders from Mars proved nightmares need imagination, not money. If this painted fever dream surprised you, hit subscribe for more forgotten film history. The truth is buried in the sandpit, and it's waiting.